The Waco City Council on September 16th, 2025 to order at 3:05 PM. Welcome to the work session of the Waco City Council. Welcome to all the people gathered here. We got a nice crowd in the gallery at Bosque Theater here in beautiful downtown Waco. Thanks for being here. Welcome to all the viewers at home also on the Waco City Cable Channel watching us. Thank you all for joining us here today and being part of this process. I'm Mayor Jim Holmes, and I'm joined on the dais here today by our council members, Isabel Lozano in District 2, over to my right, Josh Bordridge from District 3, Darius Ewing, District 4, George Chase, District 5, and Mayor Pro Tem Andrea Bearfield here next to me. I'm also joined on the adjacent dais by our senior city staff over here, City Manager Bradley Ford, City Attorney Kristen Hamilton Karam, and in the back today, I think we have City Secretary Michelle Hicks is back there somewhere, over there. All right, good. So welcome, everybody. We're going to start the meeting today with a moment of silence. All right. First item of business as we crank up the meeting today is a recognition of work session speakers. Is there anyone present who'd like to speak on a work session agenda item? Do we have anyone out there? Any cards, Mandy? Nothing. All right, great. On the front end of this, getting off to a good start here. No request to speak, so we'll now recess the regular session and convene into work session with a report from City Manager Ford.
Thanks, Mayor, and good afternoon, Council. Welcome to our visitors and viewers online. We do have one change on the agenda today. We're actually pulling item F26 off the agenda. This item would have provided authorization for direct purchase of playground equipment for the China Spring Park project. However, that purchase will actually be coordinated through the general contractor. Of note, we also have one affidavit of substantial interest by Mayor Pro Tem Bearfield for item F54. So that item will move off the consent agenda and be considered under individual consideration. I wanted to start the meeting by doing an employee recognition, a fun one. I want to recognize our public safety team, police department, who participated in a high-stakes evasion and subsequent capture operation last week.
Yes.
Yeah, if you didn't see this on social media, you're missing out. But officers Hooten and Witt were called out to the China Spring area on Friday to reports of a giant tortoise roaming the area. The suspect, named Wallace, that's his name, had escaped his enclosure and kind of just gone for a little walk, a very slow walk. And thankfully, the foot chase didn't last long, and our officers were able to get Wallace in the back of a patrol unit. We took him to the zoo for a few minutes, and thankfully his owners reached out quickly and took him back home. But, you know, I think this last couple of weeks you've seen us with tortoises and kangaroos and all sorts of fun things happening out in the world. So appreciate having a public safety team and animal control team that are able to answer the call of duty. We do have two informal reports on your agenda today, Council. Item B2 gives you an update on tree removal and replacement out at Heritage Square in Indian Springs Park. Unfortunately, you've seen the evidence of a couple of cycles of severe weather, particularly a couple of freezes and droughts that have happened and caused for the failure and decline of multiple trees that are really large. If you walk through Heritage Square in particular, we've lost several of those old red oak trees. And so we want to document in this IR our plan for removal as well as replacement. And there's no way around it. The trees we're going to lose are 20, 30-inch caliper trees, and we'll be replacing those with 3- and 4-inch caliper trees. So we're kind of step back in time a couple decades in terms of the tree size in those important public spaces. Item B3 is our second informal report, and it gives you an update on the construction of the Waco Welcome Center. We're on target from a budget and timeline standpoint and look forward to substantial completion in October with move-in right around the end of the year. So excited to get everybody through that facility later this year. We have 5 public hearings on the agenda tonight. Clint Peters, our Director of Development Services, will cover those later in the work session. We're obviously, you're staring at a 1,200-page packet or so for tonight with lots of city business on there. As council's aware, and probably the public too, September represents the close out of fiscal year '25 and coming up on the beginning of fiscal year '26. So our September agendas are quite full. October will be as well. The items on the agenda tonight run the full gamut of material supply contracts, new vehicles, operational MOUs, and contract authorizations. And just want to say a thanks to the city staff that really works very diligently to get this packet in front of you and all the work that it represents, and frankly, all the hope it represents for next fiscal year to deliver high-quality services to Waco. We do have 4 ordinances on your agenda today. H1 is a first reading to authorize changes to the fire department's grade classifications to increase the fire lieutenant position by 1, decrease the fire equipment engineer by 1, and to increase firefighters by 3 for a net impact of 3 additional positions. The remaining ordinances, there's 3 of them, are on second reading. So Mayor and Council, I'm not going to highlight any particular resolutions, but I would imagine you've got a few questions on some, so I'll take those at this time.
Any questions from council? I did want to point out one resolution. Actually, this is, what did you say, 1,100 pages? I think this is the biggest one we've had since I've been on 1,100 pages and 65 resolutions. But it's kind of cyclical, as City Manager Ford mentioned, that September and October are always big months on approving things. One of the resolutions that I wanted to just quickly discuss, we'll discuss it tonight too, is on the, I think it's 25. We're combining we're getting rid of 26, right? So 25 is the China Spring Park one. And we did see, I was so happy to get this. That was one of the first items that when I came on council was to get China Spring Park going as a District 5 council member. And we're getting to the 1-yard line on this and getting ready to score a touchdown. We are approving $3.8 million, I think, on the design, getting construction started, which is fantastic. There are a couple value engineering items that I think the neighborhood association was looking at, and I don't know if we make that a phase 2, or we can talk about that tonight with the restrooms, and I think in a basketball court that we were going to have to sort of stage in, I guess. But we may have some dialogue around that is all. And I'm thinking that our District 5 Councilmember Chase also has some similar concerns. But as we look at that again, to me, this is a celebration of getting this thing going, but also just a pause on and think about what we do on that the regional park, what we do with that restroom facility that we were kind of looking at pretty hard. And I don't know if we're going to have dialogue now or tonight on that.
All right. Let me take that under advisement. It was bid as an alternate within the project.
Right.
Let me get a question to staff and see what we can handle, but I imagine we can, if we can't incorporate it in the bid tonight, we can come back with an additional bidded project.
Yeah, I certainly don't want to slow it down, but just that's what we're hearing.
Sure.
I think that's all I had. Man, we're getting a lot done here in this council meeting on all these resolutions. So any other comments or questions, council members?
Yes, Mayor, just briefly, on a personal note, given the size of this weekly binder, I neglected to bring it in with my normal haul, so it is still in my pickup. I was wondering if you might excuse me for 2 minutes to go grab that.
Do you need
And
some
it
help?
also furthered my resolution to move completely to digital on that. So this will be my last binder haul.
Is it,
I've got back problems.
well,
Especially now with the new format.
yeah.
Didn't even tell you.
Just so you know, the older members of council like the hard copy. The younger members like to do the digital.
I'm on Team Younger now.
Yes.
I was like, he's technically younger than I
Am I the only one that has hard copy? I guess I am. All right.
It's you and Alice, and so now it's just you.
Just me. And it is marked up every page, I guarantee.
There's nothing wrong with having a boomer mayor. I want to
That's
go
right.
on record.
Okay. All right, any other?
Inclusive council.
Any other questions or comments of Bradley on the report? We will now move to the consent agenda. The consent agenda includes resolutions F1 through F65. Are there any items the council would like to remove from the consent agenda? There are 2 that we're pulling. One is 26, which is, as I said, China Spring Park. It was actually 2, but one is not no longer relevant. We're still looking at 25, which is China Spring Park. And the other one is 54, where we have an affidavit of substantial interest on 54, I'm sorry. And that's it for now. And so it includes resolutions, the consent agenda will include resolutions F1 through F65, except for F26, which is pulled from the agenda, and F54, where Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Bearfield has filed an affidavit of substantial interest. The next item on the agenda is work session items, B4 through B7. City Manager Ford.
Thanks, Mayor. We'll start out with our first work session item. I'm going to invite the team that's presenting on the Westlake development up to the front. I think we've got representatives of the development team as well as Assistant City Manager Paul Kane and our Director of Infrastructure Services, Charles Least, coming up. And I'm actually going to ask Paul to introduce this one.
All right, thank you, Bradley, Mayor and Council. It's good to be with you tonight. Wanted to kind of give you a little bit of an overview of some of the history here as we kick this off, and I'll turn it over to Brad to introduce his team. This process has gone on for, I think, 3 years. We have been working with the team to discuss this development and what's in the best interest of both parties. Originally, when this came to the city, to staff, this was proposed as a municipal utility district in our ETJ. And a municipal utility district, easy for me to say, I'm gonna say MUD the rest of the way, all right? A MUD is essentially a separate jurisdictional body with broad authorities to issue debt and build infrastructure within our boundaries. And in discussing this with the development team, we had some concerns, had a concern with having really a sovereign entity, the municipal utility district, or MUD, in our ETJ. That was a concern. And we also knew that we had strategic concerns with regard to our infrastructure and the growth opportunities that are presented on the west side of the lake. So we began discussions with them, again, over what's almost a 3-year period now, back and forth looking for ways to try to work this out. Of course, as you know, in the ETJ, we don't have any authority to do much of anything, no land use authority or zoning authority or anything else. The legislature hasn't really helped us much in that regard, so we felt if there were a way for us to bring this into the city, to have some land use input and zoning input into the process, to address the infrastructure issues that the developer was looking to solve through the MUD in another manner that would give us the ability to have some involvement in the process and to leverage investments that the city has made and could make with what the developer's doing to broaden the infrastructure out to that side of the lake. So all of those things it sounds easy, but there's a whole lot of discussion that goes into that. And so we spent a lot of time working through that. I'm really happy to be with you today to kind of tell you where we are today. We think we've landed in a really good spot with regard to this development and with regard to the future of the city, both from an infrastructure standpoint, from a land use and zoning control standpoint, and also protection of the lake. Anytime there's a development near the lake, we're always concerned about where that waste material goes and how it's treated and those kinds of things. So we've been able, working with the development team, to come up with what we think is a pretty good solution. So just wanted you to know this has been a lot of discussion. I think we've had budget meetings about this in the past. We've had discussions about this in CIP programming. Matter of fact, the CIP that's before you now for consideration in the budget is kind of the last phase of most of this water and wastewater infrastructure funding. So we're there. But I just wanted to give you some sense and give our listeners some sense of the time that this has been in discussion, and we're all still able to be civil to one another after some pretty intense discussions along the way. And I'm happy to say that both our staff and the team have worked really well together. So with that, Brad, I'll turn it over to you and let you introduce your team. And Brad and his team will present some details about the development and the team that's before you. And then when they're done, Charles Least and I will wrap up kind of some infrastructure overview of the process. So, Brad.
Thanks, Paul. Good afternoon, Mayor, City Councilman. I think Paul did a great introduction of where we've come from in a long period of time, and I think we finally have arrived at a place that works both for the city, the citizens around the area, and for our development team. I want to introduce you our team members. Thomas Fletcher, he's with Kinley Horn, our civil engineer and planner that's helped through everything. He's also worked with Charles and the utility team in defining the needs and requirements to not only serve our project, but to serve the general area for that area, outside the boundaries. And then on the far right is Mindy Caney. She's our special purpose district attorney, and she's here. She can answer questions regarding the MMD and how the functioning thereof. And with that, we'll go through our presentation, and if you need to, either during or after the presentation, feel free to field the questions to any of us, and we'll be able to see what we can do to help out.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. Thomas Fletcher with Kinley Horn. Appreciate the opportunity to present before you. The slide on the screen shows several projects that we, as this team, have worked on previously with different types of finance districts. So this is not the first project that we've worked on together. We've worked on several, and we've got a few slides that we'll go through quickly that shows a couple of these projects and just a little bit of highlights. So this is the High Point Ranch project. It's an in-city mud up in Aubrey, Texas. You can see the master plan development, how we approach that with open spaces and the development throughout the community. This one is under construction now. You can see tree preservation, internal trails, concrete curb and gutter streets, underground drainage, in master infrastructure. Here is another project. This one's out in Denton County. This project is another municipal utility district. It's a master plan residential that has commercial, mainly single family, and also a little bit of multifamily. This particular project has its own wastewater treatment plant. I know early on in the discussions, one of the things that we wanted to avoid was a wastewater treatment plant due to Lake Waco and the concerns with preserving and keeping the water clean. Here's another project that is a master plan similar in size to what's before you today. Our property overview, it's approximately 568 acres. 247 acres would be developed as single-family residential. There's about 243 acres that are below the lake flowage easement that would be conveyed as parkland. There's 37 acres of open space within the development, and the remainder would be a mix of commercial, multifamily, and project amenities. Just over 1,200 lots are proposed, and there's a small townhome portion that's roughly 20 lots in size. And just going back, the location, you can see Lake Waco. It's on the south side of Highway 6 and just south of Tom Ledbetter. So access would be off Highway 6 to the development and Tom Ledbetter. So in the vision of the project, we wanted to create a master plan community that incorporates a lot of the key aspects that we've seen as successes to kind of creating community, the trails, the open space, the high quality amenities, the different things within the plan development that kind of put controls on the development of the property, whether it's architectural controls on the houses, whether it's key design elements. All of these things are incorporated into the plan development. That's a part of the overall development agreement. It provides parks and open spaces. There's a park in each phase of the project. In the parks, there's language in there so that each park will have some type of different focus item so that it's not just a playground. We want to provide variety for the residents that would call this development home. The images are, if you look at the upper image, the middle image to the left, and the middle image or the bottom image to the right, those are actual renderings based off the site plan. So those do come from the actual layout that we've proposed. That's correct. All the residential streets have sidewalks on both sides of the street. There's a spine collector running through the center of the development. It has sidewalks on both sides with a 10-foot trail on one side. So that way it's oversized and kind of creates connectivity within the development for pedestrians to enable, a walkable, livable community, to have access to all the open spaces, the community parks, the amenity centers, and then the large open space that is within the flowage easement. That center tract that's kind of in the middle, that's not part of the development, that is core property, so there would be no development in the future, so that would remain natural. So what we've tried to do with the spine road, you can see that there's no lots that are fronting that spine road. That would be a collector roadway. It has a higher capacity for traffic volumes than a typical residential, so you want to get your residents when they're traveling by vehicle onto the collector, and then from the collector onto Highway 6 or Tom Ledbetter. And obviously, Tom Ledbetter is currently a county road and would require improvements as the development progresses. The amenity center area that's shown, it's going to be a resort-style amenity center. That's about a 5-acre site there. It's going to have a nice retention pond, trails. I've got an image that I'll share with you here in a couple of slides. Along Highway 6, there is the commercial area, and then between the residential development and the commercial area, we do have a proposed multifamily tract. The townhome would be there adjacent to the open space to the south. There's been discussions about what the open space within the flowage easement could be, whether it's ball fields, trails. I think that's one of those things that would be determined at a future time. The large retention pond there, the tract is extremely flat. In order to make the hydraulics work for drainage, to make sure that we have adequate drainage, we'll have to build the site up. So the plan would be to excavate in this area, creating a nice large lake or pond for the residents with the trail system in that area. So as part of the plan development, one of the things we wanted to do is provide architectural variety. We didn't want all the houses within the neighborhood to look the same, so we have requirements for the home builders that would develop in this building that they have to meet. In addition to that, we have fencing regulations. The fencing along the collector and along Tom Ledbetter would be a combination of masonry and board-on-board. At the termination points, we would have nice structural masonry columns to create a nice, well-defined community. All the single-family homes would have to have 3 architectural elements, and examples are listed there. Articulated front entry, covered front porch or back porch, roof dormers, window shutters, shake siding, enhanced garage door. So we wanted to make sure that there were high quality amenities built into the regulations so that it does create a nice sense of community. Here's the screening that I was talking about. You can kind of see along Tom Ledbetter and on the commercial or on the collector where this enhanced screening. We haven't picked out what the materials may necessarily be. So the screening, the masonry options there are just some examples of what it may look like. The color palette and all that would be yet to be determined. As I mentioned, it's going to be a resort-style amenity center. This tract is roughly 5 acres in size. It has a retention pond. There's a nice trail system around the retention pond. There's a lookout on the south side of the retention pond with a fountain. There is a play yard there, or a gathering yard, vent lawn there in the center. There would be restrooms. There would be a kiddie pool, an adult pool, different playgrounds, types of games like bocce ball, and then we also have dog parks incorporated in that. There would be off-street parking for the amenity center. So that gives you kind of an overview of that with various shade structures as well. Here are some amenity center concepts that show, the pickleball. The concept on the upper left is a rendering from the development, so that is the amenity center as conceptually designed, rendered to show what it would look like when completed, along with some other images that kind of show the development and the activities and amenities within the community. Here's one of the community parks. As I mentioned, there would be one in each of the phases. There's 4 phases of the development. This particular concept has pickleball, an event lawn, shade structure, and a play area. The community parks vary in size from about 1/2 acre, just over an acre. From an infrastructure standpoint, we've worked with the city. There's been modeling. There's a couple of phases of development that would be required. The water in phase 1 would require an extension of a 24-inch water line. We'd bring the water across Highway 6 over to the development. The water line within the development would be sized appropriately to serve the development. The 24-inch water line shown here is sized to meet the capital improvement plan or the master plan for water infrastructure so that it could help serve the area. In phase 2, there's an existing 8-inch line that's kind of a constriction on the existing city system. So that 8-inch line would be upsized to a 24-inch line to eliminate that constriction and provide water for the development and also the surrounding areas. From a sewer standpoint, there would be an on-site regional lift station to serve the area. That would have a force main over to the Spiegelville sewer gravity main that's in design. So the development would construct all the internal sewer lines, the regional lift station, the force main to connect over to a gravity line that's in the design process. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Mindy for the MD.
I've got one question on the site plan. Just given that this is near our water source there, is this anywhere near, I don't think it's near the Bosque rivers that feed the lake, so it's probably not near the floodplain or the floodway, or how close would that be to this development?
So the Lake Waco has a flowage easement, and the flowage easement does come up into this property, but through the Corps and TCEQ, there's limitations on what can be done, so that flowage easement and area is all to remain natural. We're not proposing any, you're not allowed to fill within that area. What you develop within that area is limited, so that would just be part of the open space and park area.
So the flowage easement is adjacent to this property, between this property and the lake?
That's correct. I mean, it does come into the property. The area in green is within the flowage easement.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
You said before you move too far away, with the regional lift station, you said that would be the developers?
Correct. Within the development agreement, there's responsibilities for the developer and responsibilities for the city. The intent is that the developer is paying for what's necessary to serve their development and oversizing for future needs in this area would be participated with from the city. So anytime you have a large development like this that's going to install infrastructure, it's really a great opportunity to partner with the city to oversize the infrastructure for future needs. So that way there's not additional projects in the future that, you have the ability to take advantage of cost savings doing it that way.
Thank you.
All right, well, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Let me start by saying thank you for your service. I too serve on a city council and have for about the last 12 years, and so I understand what that entails, so thank you all. My name is Mindy Caney. My specialty is special purpose districts. We started this route down the path of being in the ETJ and having a municipal utility district. Like we've mentioned previously, we've worked with the city over the last 3 years over what type of special purpose district would be best. And we have determined that the municipal management district model is a good type of district for both the city and the development team. This district can be created either through the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, which is the entity that governs special purpose districts, or through the Texas legislature. In years past, there was different strategies as to why you would want to create a district through the legislature or the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. But now the general law has changed over the years to where really it boils down to timing at this point. Are we in session or is the session over? Considering the session just ended, we would propose to create this district through the TCEQ. As we also mentioned, we are going to annex all of the property into the city limits, and so this would be an in-city municipal management district. Like all special purpose districts, the purpose of this municipal management district will be to finance the infrastructure, more specifically the water, the sewer, the drainage, the roads that are going to be used to serve this development. In a traditional development, years ago, the developer would take all of the costs associated with the water, the sewer, the drainage, the roads, put them all into the lot price, sell those lots to builders. Builders would sell those to end users, and the costs just get passed on from the onset. Here, in most projects in North Texas, frankly, all over the state of Texas, it's very difficult to have a product that is marketable without some form of municipal management district, because we are able to finance that infrastructure over time instead of putting all of those costs into the price of the lot. This district will be governed by a board of directors consisting of 5 representatives. 2 of those representatives will be appointed by the city. 3 of those will be appointed by the developer. We will come to the city every 5 years for the city to approve its capital improvement budget. That means that the district is not able to sell bonds for any projects that are not approved by the city. That is required by the Texas Local Government Code for municipal management districts. And so the city will have an opportunity to review those projects prior to the district issuing bonds for those projects. And again, this district is very highly regulated by the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality and the Texas Attorney General's Office. And they also will be reviewing projects to make sure they comply with law. The only facilities that this district is able to finance is water, sewer, drainage, and road facilities. This district is a taxing entity, and so this district will levy taxes inside the boundaries of the district. The taxes are composed of, the first year that the district levies a tax, it's all operation and maintenance for the district because the district has not yet issued bonds. But after the district issues bonds, then that tax rate gets separated, much like the city's tax rate, into maintenance and operations. The district, because it's not going to own any of its own facilities other than some detention facilities, there really aren't a lot of operation and maintenance facilities. It's audit fees, insurance, things like that. So the majority of its tax rate will be debt service to finance the water, the sewer, the drainage, the road facilities. From a bond sales perspective, the district, a municipal management district, cannot sell bonds until it has created enough taxable value inside the boundaries of the district to sell those bonds. So unlike a public improvement district that has the ability to issue bonds prior to infrastructure being put in, prior to taxable value being on the ground, municipal management districts are reimbursement tools, which means that the developer has to put in the water, the sewer, the drainage, the roads, and create taxable value, i.e. sell houses, prior to the district issuing any bonds. So the MMD, just a very basic question, is how does it affect the citizens of Waco? And so for the folks here who are in the audience and those who are at home, there of course will be a new beautiful master plan community that will affect the citizens because there will be a new community there. But I just wanted to make clear that the taxes that this district will levy are only levied inside of its boundaries. And so only the people who choose to purchase houses inside this project will have to pay those taxes. It will not affect any of the other citizens of the city of Waco. That is a very, very high-level overview of how municipal management districts work. Happy to answer any questions that y'all have about the district itself.
Can you walk me through, like, really high level of creating the value and then issuing the bonds. What's the time frame on that?
So from the district's perspective, the district starts to levy its taxes when the lots are going to be delivered to builders. And so we want that tax to be levied very early in the process so the residents are able to get their mortgages, escrow their taxes, completely understand. We want that tax on the rolls prior to any residents purchasing homes. And so typically that's the year before we're delivering lots. The district will, so then we'll have a year's worth of revenue coming in because the entirety of the district's taxes will go to operation and maintenance of the district because we've not yet levied any debt. Then we'll start to sell lots to builders. Builders start to build houses. That creates a revenue stream because now we have taxable value inside the boundaries of the district. And so every year, just like a city does, we levy our tax right around the same time that a city does. And so a revenue stream starts to occur. And the revenue stream gets larger and larger because the project starts to get built out. And so typically there's about a 10-to-1 ratio of when the district will sell bonds. And so when there's about $60 million worth of taxable value inside the boundaries of the district, that's when the district will have its first bond sale.
And to go further, the citizens, whoever purchases a home within that district, there's a tax rate notice that goes along with the sales. It's disclosure, there's a disclosure notice that goes along. So everybody that walks in to buy from a builder or whoever, and it's also disclosed again once at closing table. So everybody's aware of what the tax rate is and how it may or may not affect them within that district.
Sure. And roughly what will that tax rate be? Not holding you to anything.
It won't be more than $3 total tax stack. That's with city, county,
School district.
we just, as many as we've done, that's the threshold and we're
What the
builders
market
can't
will
make a
bear.
sale. Anything above that, unless it's in a extremely unique location, it's hard to make one work at that point. Yes, sir.
Before you move on too far, Councilmember Caney, we were talking about, in the question, how does the MMD affect the current citizens of Waco? I'm understanding that this will become annexed part of the city, so I'm trying to see what the impact would be on like police and fire, and, because those could be potential things that affect the current residents of our community. So can you talk about that a little bit? Because I imagine, I mean, if I'm painting with my broad stroke brush, that by the time we're at phase 4, there's gonna have to be another fire station built or something of that nature. Am I close?
You're absolutely close. You're absolutely on it, actually. We are going to address that in our portion of the presentation.
Oh, my bad.
But you are spot
You
on.
want me to let you talk?
It's
right?
foreshadowing.
Yes, we've looked at that, and you're exactly right. That's
All right.
something that we need to consider, and we'll talk about that in a few
Well, I'll hold my peace.
That was a nice teaser.
Great question. Great question.
So where are we right now?
Any other questions on the MMD?
Oh, all right.
Because I was like,
That's we're at the last bullet point.
Yeah.
Have we, and I don't know where the rest of this presentation goes exactly, so I may be asking something that
We're just enjoying the ride.
yeah, it's very exciting. Have we I didn't see it in the materials, but I don't know if that's part of the next deal. I know that we spent a lot of time on Riverway, which is not exactly the same, but there's some similarities. And we built a lot of cash flow projections, spreadsheet, waterfalls, which I'm all about. I kind of want to see those if and as we go through this. But I just want to see how it flows, how the city's input in this deal flows, our infrastructure commitment for this specific project. I know it's a totally separate project of us, of the city, bringing utilities over to that general area. But for this specific project, at some point, just seeing that cash flow projection model.
We'll talk about that at a high level next.
Okay.
well, can we get to next? Because I mean.
Yeah, I think we're ready for next.
If you want to. If you don't mind being my keyboard person,
Okay.
we'll roll through to the next part. So Charles Least, our Director of Infrastructure Services, is here for detailed questions, and he can help walk through those. I just want to give you some idea of what we're going to talk about, the infrastructure overview and its cost, the estimated economic benefit, which gets into some of the mayor's questions earlier, as well as Councilmember Barefield's, and the operational costs and capital costs associated with this growth out to the west. This is very similar to a slide you've seen before, but this slide really shows you the overall view of the water infrastructure as we are planning it to extend around the lake. So if you start at the bottom left, that is Spiegelville Road as it crosses the Middle Bosque there. The first project at 1W is part of the Spiegelville Road project that the council has approved, and the utilities portion of that is underway now. Then we have an agreement already in place that the council's approved for 2W and 3W to extend water once it crosses the North Bosque up along Spiegelville and then through what was Spiegelville Land Holding and is now Edgewood Development up to the blue dash line. And then the blue dash line is a future project that's really the one that ties it all together. And that one is going to be reliant on future growth other than this development and other than the Spiegelville Land Holdings. And then the project that was discussed earlier, the waterline WLV W2, which is the first phase extension of this one, and then the work there up Fish Pond Road near the country club is to provide enough water capacity for the development in the future. So this shows you overall how this water infrastructure is going to loop around the lake eventually, and how these different developments are contributing, and we'll have a summary table to talk about that in a second. On the next slide, thank you very much.
Paul, can you go
Yes,
back to
sir.
that one? So I just want to follow the greens over there on the right. That,
Those are this development.
okay,
WLV is Westlake Village.
got it.
Yellow is future, and then the others, the light blue, the purple, and the dark blue are all contracted for today.
In the works right
Yeah,
now.
they are under construction or in design today.
Got it. And then, so the Westlake ones there, the pipeline goes under this. It doesn't hang on the twin bridges there. It actually is already there and it's dug out and all that.
It's already there now. This is a upsizing of the line from its current terminus over to Tom Ledbetter.
Got it. Okay.
That'll get us through phase one with capacity, but we've got a bottleneck in our system up around the country club that we have to open up in order to provide water that ultimately will loop the entire lake,
Got it.
this arm of the lake.
So the green boxes are the ones that we're talking about doing right now. The red boxes are in the works with unrelated but sort of related projects.
Yes.
The dotted line yellow, we don't have to do to get this done, but eventually to create that loop is going to be beneficial.
It'll be beneficial for not only system operations, but as that, you see a lot of open land out that way. As
Yep.
that develops and comes into the city, then we will look for similar partnerships with them to help pay for part of that as well. So
Makes sense. Thanks.
that's kind of a big picture view of where we're going on the water side. On the next slide is wastewater infrastructure. We talked about this earlier and did a great job. That's a developer cost 100% for that yellow portion, which is the lift station, and then the force main, which essentially pumps the sewage uphill, and then it would dump into the light green line, which is a sewer line that runs through that development, and then it would get to Spiegelville Road and then down into our system. I wanted to point out a couple of things, and I believe Councilmember Barefield mentioned this in her questions earlier. The yellow line and the circle is really what's really important here. This is going to serve their development, and the district will be paying for that. But what this does is provide us an opportunity to expand this to a regional lift station, to take flows further to the west, if you want to call it that. And as that whole basin drains to this site, we'll add wet wells and pumps to the system and then pump that over into the line. That will see us through to future development in the area. So we're thinking long-term and partnering with the district and the developer to bring that to fruition.
Paul, I think this is what you're saying, but just so I understand, the lift station that will be built essentially to our standards.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
once it's our responsibility,
It will be built to our standards, and we will be working with their engineering team to make sure that as it's designed in such a way that allows for expansion. Additional wet wells, additional pumps can just be added on. And those would not be at the district's cost. If this Westlake's cost, that would be on the city or on other developers in the area. As all of this infrastructure discussion that we're having here about water and sewer, as well as, if I go to the next slide, please, as well as roadways, all of these are eligible for impact fee inclusion. We have impact fees here in the city of Waco. These can be included. I believe there's an item on the agenda tonight to have our impact fees looked at. And so you'll see these come back in the future. As other development occurs in the area, they will help pay for some of these costs as they tie into these improvements that are being made. So again, that's 50 cents on the dollar under the statute, so it's not great, but it's a way for us to recoup some of this investment we're making in the future. Tom Ledbetter, as was mentioned, this will be an arterial that will actually run between 6th and Spiegelville eventually. You'll see that on a future master thoroughfare plan that's coming. So it'll be a connector all the way across at some point. It needs to be arterial in size with multiple lanes, perhaps 5 lanes each direction. The city would fund that improvement. In our agreement that's proposed with the Westlake team, we would do that project as phase 4 begins. You saw the loop road, and this is my very bad drawing of the loop road. Apologize to the engineering team.
Looks good.
But that loop road will tie into, I believe it's called Wright Road. And so we'll have improved, when this development is completed, Tom Ledbetter will be improved to an arterial grade all the way from Wright Road to 6. So it'll be a nice arterial roadway that as future development occurs, it will be expanded towards Spiegelville Road eventually and tie in. So that's the overall goal. The next slide is a spreadsheet for the mayor and the rest of council.
See the cash flow projection. This is great.
This shows overall cost. It shows you on the left-hand side of the project and the category and the description of what that project is. So streets are shown in white. That's the Tom Ledbetter work. We're gonna have to do a little bit, maybe $100,000 a year in just gravel repairs and things to keep that county road passable. And then ultimately we will kick in with the full construction of Wright Road in the future. So we got about 8.9 in streets in city dollars. On the wastewater side, there's 18 million overall in improvements that are needed across both this development and includes the Spiegelville Road work we're doing and also includes this Spiegelville Land Holdings and Edgewood development. So I'm trying to give you a global view here of what's all being spent. So we're at 18 million in wastewater improvements to make the deal work all the way across. Developers are pitching in about 10 million of that, and the city is around 7.8 million. Then on the water side, 21 million in total cost, 9 million on the developer side, 11.7 on the city side. So there's about $48 million in cost here, split 41-59 between the city and the developers. Now, one thing I want to point out to you here, in the next you'll see that Westlake, Spiegelville Road, and SLH Edgewood. This just kind of summarizes how that 48 million is being accounted within those 3 different projects. Our Spiegelville Road project there in the middle, and the 2 developments bookending that. You'll see that on the Westlake side, total cost 23. It's really a 50-50 deal between Westlake and the city. The Spiegelville Road project, all the utility work being done there is something that we should do no matter what. You're not gonna get developer participation to take a road across a river, or I'm sorry, to take a water line or a sewer line across a river. That's almost always a city cost that is eligible for impact fee inclusion at some point. But that is an investment that we've already made, that the city has approved and been made into this development. So that would happen either way. We would do that to be prudent, right? And then you see a 60-40 split on the SLH and Edgewood side. So overall, about 48 million in infrastructure improvements, and you see the split between the two. All of this is already funded except for Tom Ledbetter. We have some monies from 23 that are going into part of the work, some of the Speakerville work, as you could already see. And then in 26 CIP, which is before the council now, all of the rest of this is in that funding as well, and included in the rate models that the council's been discussing from a budget perspective. So the only thing that's outstanding really in this cost from an infrastructure standpoint is Tom Ledbetter, which would be, phase 4-ish in time frame, which would be around 2033. So that gives you some sense of we've been planning this for a number of years, both on the Speakerville Land Holdings, Edgewood development, this development, and our Speakerville Road project, all of those three working in concert. This is really the last step in that. The council's approved the other two. This is the last one. And we funded, or you will fund with the budget that's before you if you approve it, everything but Tom Ledbetter. So if I could go to the next slide.
So, but, Paul, to hang on that one just for a second.
Yes, sir.
You stated this, I'm just restating. The Speakerville Road, I'm going to the bottom of that subtotal, which is super helpful. The Speakerville Road elements have already been funded. They're kind of in our rearview mirror. We're still working on it, but we've got the.
They are. All of the utilities are funded, Mayor. And, if you take out Speakerville Road from this development, that leaves you about 37 million. So that 48.4 minus the Speakerville part, so that's 37.2-ish. The city's about a 46% participant in cost above Speakerville Road. So that's everything outside of the river crossing.
Yeah, that's kind of what I want to point to, because
Yeah.
we're,
A little less than half on those.
yeah, we're reducing our costs pretty efficiently by having
Right.
a developer help pick up the water and wastewater
And that's,
requirements.
ideally, that's what cities want to do.
Yep.
You want to partner with developers. They're providing the cost to serve their development. Then you partner with them to add line size and other things to it to provide for additional capacity in the future. Otherwise, hypothetically, you're extending a 12-inch water line to serve their development and somebody else wants to tie on, and what do?
Yep.
So that's part of our overall planning. It's part of our water and sewer master planning effort. We look at these projects, rather than the city taking them all on, you partner with developers to make that happen, so.
Now,
this
along
is
those
where we
same
are.
lines, Paul, I mean, that, the upsizing on Fish Pond would have to be done system-wide, no matter what.
It would have to be done if we want to get more water on that side of the lake. As that line has more demand on it, and we have developers, I'm meeting with one Thursday on Highway 6 outside of the city who wants to do a commercial project right on 6. He needs water. So we would be in the same boat as development happens out there. So that fish pond has to be done to provide that link. So, all right.
How big is the water line going under the lake again? I'm sorry, I'm so fascinated with that. It was built a long time ago, right?
20-inch,
20?
20-inch.
Which would have been built,
It's been there
Charles?
15 years or so, which was smart,
Yeah.
right? Because we don't want to have to go board the lake again. So that's good.
Thanks.
All right, let me talk a little bit about economic benefit, and this is just looking at these two developments, Westlake Village that we've talked about tonight and Edgewood that you've approved in the past. And this is year 10 numbers, and I used to work with the finance director, and he would always say these numbers are numbers that are wrong. Anytime you're dealing with projections, right? These are not the numbers, but it gives you some sense of where we're going. When you look at this, there's about 1,900 homes that are going to be out in this area. You assume around 2.5 people per home. We're talking about another 4,000 to 5,000 residents of the city of Waco in this area. Those homes, assuming in year 10, again, this is in year 10, they have a value of around $395,000. That's $760 million of value that's going to be added out in this area at these two developments. But again, the 12 acres of multifamily and 15 acres of commercial that was discussed earlier, we're looking at around $820 million in value. Using our current, of course, there's going to be some limited sales tax from the commercial. We're not even going to speculate what that's going to be. But using that $800 million in year 10 at our current tax rates is about $6.2 million in revenue a year, 4.8 of that on the M&O side and 1.4 on the debt side. So if we go to the next slide, I want to just kind of get to the point that was raised earlier by Councilmember Bearfield. On the operations side, Ryan and I have worked with one another and with our police and fire personnel staff to kind of figure out what will it take to serve this development if we have another 5,000 residents out here eventually. So we are looking at a fire station that's 12 firefighters, roughly $2.5 million it'll cost us a year in year 10. We think we'll need 6 police officers and supervisory officers as well at about 1.4 million. So we're about 3.8 million in for the operational impact to serve the area. So 3.8 million in estimated cost versus about 4.8 million in estimated revenue. So we're looking there, we're looking good there. Now, I'm not saying that all costs are included in this. I'm dealing specifically with public safety because there's always the discussion about does residential pay for itself. I'm not getting into that discussion. I'm purely talking about public safety cost here. Then on the capital side, we'll need apparatus in the station. That's around $11.5 million. Tom Ledbetter's we've talked about. And then all of that light blue area that was talked about earlier in the Waco, Lake Waco flowage easement, we would, under the agreement, we would acquire that at the end of the development for about $1.5 million. All of that would become City of Waco land. Couple of reasons why we want to do that. One, we spend a lot of time here at the City of Waco protecting Lake Waco and finding ways to make sure that Lake Waco is not hampered by any development in the future or anything like that. So acquiring this parkland is strategic in that sense. It's also strategic from the standpoint of it gives us 243 acres of parkland on the lake at a cost of about $6,000 an acre, which market value, even a 503 land, is somewhere between 4 and 8, if you look at McCAD's numbers. So we've got a good purchase price, and that purchase price is actually at phase 4. So we're talking we would pay that 8 to 10 years out from now. So works good from the city's perspective of protecting the lake and also providing additional parkland for our residents as well as our new residents. So that $21.5 million, if you were to debt service all of it, which we're talking this is 8 to 10 years out, most of this, it's $1.6 million a year in debt service. And the development generates right now under the current rates about $1.4 million. So the thought, much like Mindy was saying with regard to the development there and how the district works, it creates value and then it covers this debt. In a 10-year perspective, this will create enough value for us to address our public safety needs in that area without burdening other residents of the city. I think that's an important point. So that next slide is the question slide. That's all I have on it. Charles and I are here to talk, answer any specific questions you have on the infrastructure side, but hopefully this gives you some sense of kind of the comprehensive way we've been looking at this and trying to not only facilitate what we think is going to be a quality development in a beautiful part of the city that will become a beautiful part of the city once it's annexed, but also meet some of the strategic goals that we have to allow other development in other parts of the city. As you know, Midway ISD owns 2 pieces of property out in this area as well. They've been planning for this growth for a long time. And I think this just shows that the city is continuing to do our long-term planning as well and to be able to provide the infrastructure and public safety services that are needed for that part of town. So I'll stop there. Charles is here as well to help with any questions you may have of us.
Well, I've got some reflections and then some questions as well. I kind of pulled up a couple, like a McLennan County satellite map and also an ISD map, because I would say on that side of the lake, which is just not heavily developed yet, there aren't a lot of, besides the city of Waco on the other side of the lake, or I guess part of it is adjacent, and then Woodway on the other side of the lake. There's not a lot of incorporated cities on that side of the lake or anywhere nearby. but it's pretty much, until you get to River Crossing Bridge, pretty much just Midway ISD over there in terms of a jurisdiction. And then the community, the unincorporated community that we call Spiegelville. But it does feel like if we do bring this significant infrastructure, and this development does look beautiful, that this may be a very attractive area of town, area of our community that will see development. I don't necessarily think we're competing with any other incorporated cities for annexation of this area. I don't think any others would be eligible to annex this land or on the other side of 6, the north side of 6, right?
Yes, sir. That is correct. There's at least one water supply corporation that has CCN just to the north of that area. And as that area starts to grow, particularly now, I think in Texas, there is great opportunity for land to be developed outside of the city in a dense fashion that we get no benefit from, but all of those new residents use our roads. They come in town to shop, go to their doctor's office, take their kids to school, so they're using our roads, but yet we have no ability to tax them at all when that happens. So that was long a goal of ours in this discussion, was try to provide a way for the city to accomplish some strategic goals and invest in a project that we could bring into the city. One thing I forgot to mention, and I will now, I think it's important, the MMD concept is something council's aware of that was discussed in Riverway. I believe the total participation in that deal from a public perspective in TERS and water and sewer and other things was about $130 million. This project, as we talked earlier, is about 50 total, and the city's only picking up about roughly half of that. So that puts the city's investment around $28 million or $100 million less than what we saw in the Riverway deal. Riverway's different. It's in the core. It has a lot of challenges with the property that was developed there, different goals and objectives. And I think to your point, Mr. Wardrood, there are different issues at different parts of the city. And Riverway had different issues that had to be addressed and very creatively addressed in its financing package. In this case, we have much more of a clean slate from a development perspective. You know, we're able to run water and sewer lines out there and not have to worry about upsizing and existing systems and all those things that we faced in Riverway. So different needs, different perspective, different locations. But that, I think your point's a good one, that there are different issues in Riverway, and in this case, we don't have the competition of other cities, but we do have the concern of residential or urban development in our ETJ. And we always have to be on guard to try to address that, because that will be demand on our system.
So kind of following that up, I mean, there are like some of our, for lack of a better term, maybe sister and brother incorporated cities in McLennan County that are adjacent to the city of Waco. Many, if not most of those, are landlocked or are getting that way to where they cannot expand territorially. They can't annex either voluntarily or not outside. I think District 5, the Highway 84 corridor, as you go up, I think you start to hit McGregor city limits. I don't think you can go so much farther down the 84 corridor. And I think in West Waco, you probably can go past Far Miller, you know, between Hewitt and Woodway. I think there is room out there. It's Lorena ISD, but you're not up against any city for a while. That's one area. But this does seem like, in terms of a prime area, to make sure that development happens within our borders and shares the cost of these residents who are many regional enterprises would have to pay for their presence. So I think there is an argument about strategically developing this area from essentially like the North Bosque all the way down to Spiegelville Road there in Highway 84, that to think strategically like this program is doing here that you're presenting, because this does seem like kind of the most natural course for development close into the city of Waco that I can think of.
Yeah. Yes, sir, I would agree with that. And 84, as you mentioned, we do butt up against McGregor eventually, but there are significant future infrastructure costs for development along 84 to continue. And I wouldn't want anyone to have the impression that we can expand out 84 as much as we'd like in the future. We are pretty much there today in terms of sewer out there. We already are having discussions about elevated storage tanks for water pressure up there, out that way. So really at this point in the city's life, I think anywhere you go to think about future development, whether it's those areas, any of those areas you mentioned, there is going to be city infrastructure cost to make that happen. And this is very approximate to the city, this area that we're talking about now. And we know that there's a lot of growth, industrial and job growth down that area, and we feel like this is a good time for development along the lake.
Thank you.
Great question. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff on this one or of the presentation? This is very exciting, and it's strategic growth. I know smart growth is what we're all about, and we're trying to figure out the cost sharing part. Just really popped for me on that one spreadsheet on how we are working with developers to make this kind of activity and tax base grow. And the parkland element, I like that too, where we kind of get to buy some back there. 1,400 homes, it's also helping us address the housing need here. And the MMD structure, as I said before, we have some similarities in Riverway, but kind of not the same because it's in a TIF zone and it's a little bit different. The MMD to me is sort of like a homeowners association on steroids, where you have this little taxing authority where you can build more infrastructure, which kind of helps the city in the long run as well. I think we're seeing this I know that we had a lot of this in the package, but we're seeing parts of this presentation for the first time. Another part that I'd like to see, as I kind of mentioned before, how the city's funding commitment on this particular project folds in over time, and more of I know we saw the highlight of these are the big numbers, this is 10 years out. If we could see the spreadsheet year to year on how this kind of grows and how it affects the tax base over that years. I know, as you said, the numbers are going to be wrong, but it'll give us a better idea of how this looks over a period of time. And then I also had some questions on Exhibit H and K, and I want to know how those fit into the projection model. And kind of the waterfall that we built on Riverway, where we said, here's how it's going to be built out, these number of units this year, for the next 15 years, and how that flows out is what I'd like to see.
Okay.
And again, I think a lot of us are seeing this for the first time, so this is on a resolution to approve tonight, and it might give us the benefit of absorbing and digesting that information to push this resolution to the next meeting for final approval. I don't know how folks feel about that. I think you got a supportive team up here. We love this. We just want to get into the detail.
I mean, especially for the benefit of our new council members.
Yeah.
'Cause I mean, even if we've seen it or understood it before in the previous discussion on CIP, everybody who's here has not.
Good point.
Okay. Great presentation. And Paul?
No, I appreciate your time, certainly, and we'll provide that additional information that the council's interested in. One thing I didn't do in my slideshow and should have, it's mentioned in the item page, I believe partially, but the process here looks like maybe an October submittal to TCEQ, perhaps an answer in the spring-ish of 2026. So I know after all we've been through, the developers certainly itching to get that application in. And I think we're trying to target the last meeting in December for annexation and zoning on this. So trying to move as fast as we can, but certainly want to get you the information that you need and feel comfortable with, and we'll work on that and have that to you before the next meeting.
Great. I think you've got excitement up here and for the whole project, and general support, just diving into that next level so we're able to tell our constituents how this all works. But I appreciate the presentation.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
City Manager Ford, we move on to work session B5, discussion of, oh, this is a favorite, the STEAM Center.
The STEAM Center. Yeah, we've got a group of folks coming up to the table, discuss the programmatic update, as well as a short construction update on the Bledsoe Miller STEAM Center. All right. We've got Deidre Emerson, our Deputy City Manager, as well as Roberto from our library. Got all kinds of distractions going on with me right now. Roberto Zapata up here as well. This is a project that's really coming together very nicely. I know Mayor Pro Tem's been over recently a couple of times to see the progress. But it's really coming together it's going to be a very exciting facility for our community. And so I wanted to give Deputy City Manager a few minutes to talk to that and share some exciting updates.
All right. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm actually pretty excited to talk about this presentation today and this project. It's been a little bit of a long time coming. So, as you all know, I'm Deidre Emerson, Deputy City Manager, and I am joined today, as Bradley mentioned, by Joshua Wusher of Transformation Waco and Roberto Zapata, our Director of Libraries and Cultural Enrichment. We tend to change his title from day to day.
As other duties as assigned.
In 2018, we were presented with a vision to create a STEAM Center in Waco. Since that time, through 3 mayors, 2 city managers, a pandemic, the acquisition of a facility, and more than $13.5 million knit together from ARPA funds, federal special appropriation, CIP funds, local economic development agreements, and corporate donations, we are nearly there.
Yeah.
This project has not been without challenges. At one point, a floodplain issue almost stopped us in our tracks. Because I knew who to call here locally, we were able to navigate through that issue and keep the project alive. That's a testament to the strength of the local relationships that we have and the problem-solving abilities of our staff. But this project is much bigger than one challenge. It is also the product of relationships that have been built and nurtured, along with the folks that are sitting with me at the table, and through Congressman Sessions, whom we are very grateful for his support through the $3.5 million special appropriation, Baylor, MCC, TSTC, who is here with us today for another project coming up, but they're supportive of us on this one too. Our local nonprofits, the U.S. Naval Academy, and companies who do business globally. Thank you to our Cisco team for being in the audience with us here today. These partnerships have come together to create an adaptive reuse project that is transforming a 50-plus-year-old building, 51-square-foot facility into a state-of-the-art center for learning. When it opens, the STEAM Center will be a place where our entire community, from K to Gray, can explore, discover, and have fun while learning. Because this project is primarily funded with federal dollars, it comes with its own set of requirements and challenges. But our cross-departmental team has done an outstanding job to make sure every compliance standard is met. Their work ensures that we are not only on track, but continues to demonstrate how Waco can deliver a complex, federally funded project responsibly and successfully. Today, the team will show you that this project is still on budget and on schedule, with a completion set for the end of 2025. With that, I'll turn it over to Joshua Wusher of Transformation Waco, who will share more about what this vision means for our students and families.
Do you want to go ahead?
Yes,
A
and
little brief
before
one.
that,
Yes.
before that, I would like to just reiterate how excited we are to update the mayor and council on this project. But first, I want to go over why are we here. So today, we will be hearing from Transformation Waco on our progress in terms of program development, community outreach, and operational planning. You'll also hear brief status updates from facilities and parks and recreation on those respective parts of this project. So our goals for today's presentation are threefold. First, we want to highlight the programming that has been developed and tested within our community by Transformation Waco. We also want to review the current construction timelines and provide updates on the budget. And then we also want to demonstrate how programming, operations, and facility planning are aligning to ensure a seamless launch and long-term success of the new facility. So with that, I'll turn it over to Josh. It's all yours, Josh.
Thank you, Roberto. Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. Thank you so much for having us. I'm Josh Butcher, Chief Communications Development Officer for Transformation Waco. Programming has really been at the heart of this project. Since March, we've been in phase 2 of our development process, moving from broad ideas to piloted programs, real classroom integration, and refinement based on feedback. These updates are building the foundation for a sustainable program model for us. Phase 2 was designed as a bridge. We tested curriculum inside schools, piloted lesson plans, and engaged subject matter experts and partners to help co-develop content. And this work is ensuring that when the STEAM Center opens, we're not just experimenting, but we're also launching with programs that have already been proven to resonate with students and families. Transformation Waco followed a structured program development process. The first step was to develop a curriculum plan, ensuring alignment with STEAM learning outcomes and educational standards. From there, we focused on refining target audience programs, tailoring offerings to youth, teens, families, and seniors. And these programs have moved into pilot testing, allowing for evaluation and adjustments based on participant feedback. Feedback has been really important for us to shape what people are interested in. Finally, that model incorporates program framework refinements with experts, local experts, engaging educators and community partners to ensure quality, relevance, and long-term impact. One of the most exciting aspects has been developing a curriculum that directly connects to classroom standards. We've entered into an excellent partnership with Discovery Education, who has provided Transformation Waco access to their entire e-learning platform, and they have dozens of sponsorships with organizations like CVS, DC Comics, Lego, Verizon, Meta, that they want us to be connected to as well. So it's been a great introduction with Discovery Education. Dash robots are really fun. You'll see some photos a little bit later of those. Virtual reality experiences, and the Naval Academy that Deidre mentioned. Naval Academy STEM activities have helped create hands-on, standards-aligned lessons. We're also building a foundation of lesson plans to support makerspaces, immersive science story times, really utilizing the unique immersive lab that's going to be at the STEAM Center, and early learning modules. All of this work is designed to inform the center's programming once opened. Listening to the community has been critical. We've refined our target audience programs to make sure we're meeting people where they are. We're focused on the city's vision of a center that serves the whole community, K to grade, as you said. And that means offering programming that feels relevant and accessible at every stage. We're planning offerings that are targeted by age group. So whether that's a middle schooler exploring robots after school, high schoolers recording and mixing music in the recording studio, adults joining a new esports gaming league in a digital lab, or a senior sciences program with older adults crafting and experimenting in the makerspace. At the same time, though, we're trying to create intergenerational opportunities, programs designed to bring people together across ages. Community workshops such as Cooking with Culture series that we've been developing with Texas AgriLife, which will enable families and neighbors of all generations to share experiences side by side around food. These refinements are going to ensure that universal access remains a core of the mission of the STEAM Center. In May, Transformation Waco hosted our first major pilot. It was a STEM expo with 100 of our after-school students from J.H. Hines, Brook Avenue Elementary Schools, and G.W. Carver. Students experimented with chemistry, robotics, virtual reality, and engineering problem solving. The feedback we got was tremendous from them. Not only did we validate our curriculum choices, but it also helped confirm the excitement and demand that exists within our community, particularly in the East Waco community, for these types of opportunities. So there on the left, they're creating slime through chemistry. That was elephant toothpaste, where you mix some chemicals and then it creates this warming effect, and it kind of erupts, almost like a volcano. And the second photo, there's those Dash robots that I had mentioned. So the kids really enjoyed navigating a maze. Using an iPad. The VR Meta headsets were a big hit. We discovered that putting that in the middle of activities, when students walk by, they sort of turn, and we have to say, oh, we'll be doing that next. So it's been an opportunity to have a bunch of activities and kind of see where kids gravitate to. And that last one was a really cool engineering project through the company Sphero that has robots, but this is a mechanical engineering component for elementary and middle schoolers where they're building prototypes of levers and pulleys and catapults. So that was a really great opportunity there.
Before you move on, I'm like,
yes.
In this second slide, that young man's shirt says, "I talk to everyone, moving me won't help." That was me. I feel so seen right now.
We may have been told that. So those were really fun opportunities. In partnership with the U.S. Naval Academy and the Parks and Recreation Department, we offered a summer STEM camp. Students built circuits, coded Sphero robots, and took on engineering challenges. This program served as a great test case for camps that we plan to host at the STEAM Center. The Naval Academy's curriculum will be fully integrated when we launch, expanding the depth of our offerings. So on the left there is a group of students who are working with the Sphero robots, and they had a really fun opportunity to build a chariot with different types of wheels. They had plastic wheels, they had Lego wheels, they even had CDs, and it was building a contraption that was essentially a chariot that they would then put a little figure on and race using the Sphero robot as the driver, as the engine. And so that was a really awesome opportunity. And campers there in the middle were building a circuit, and then before they were building the chariot, they just had an opportunity to do little battle bots with the Sphero robots. And so that was a really great opportunity there. Now, our programming also extends to seniors. Senior Planet from AARP empowers older adults through free classes on technology, health, finance, and creativity. These are already running at our libraries, soon to be at senior centers, and we will incorporate them into the STEAM Center schedule. This will make the STEAM Center a place for lifelong learning, really hitting that pre-K to grade. And in the next photo, there's a couple more examples. This is an example of a class that was on Android phones. Those have been the most popular classes on Android and iPhones. And we've had repeat customers. We have one individual who has come, Mrs. J, I believe her name is, and she's come to numerous classes, not only to learn for herself, but then to teach friends.
Nice.
And these are free classes that Transformation Waco has become a licensed partner with AARP to get access to their full 200+ catalog. So we started off with one-off workshops that are about an hour, hour and a half long, but to sort of gain interest in these classes. But we also have access to longer form programming that is 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks long, that are multiple hit points in the week that are on smartphone photography, Apple iPhone basics, iPad basics. We've had classes on Instagram, influencing, had a gentleman as a local realtor who created an Instagram account and did a video right there in the middle of class. So this has been a really fun opportunity to ensure that our seniors, our adult learners, have access to STEAM learning.
But are our seniors memeing at the level that they need to be?
Listen,
That's
Not at your level.
That's a great question. We actually did have a class on GIFs or GIFs and memes.
Okay.
And I need to talk to the instructor, and so I will find out if there was any meme
I mean, we
creations.
might know a guy.
Yeah, I'm willing, pro bono, I'm willing to do a seminar.
Train folks.
Well, there's actually not that high of a barrier to entry for instructors. There's a multi-week class that we have the ability to add instructors. The ultimate goal is to have folks that have cycled through classes, the seniors, to be instructors in the future. But there's no age limit on the instructor for a class. So Council Member Border, if you're interested in a meme class,
Now we know what you're going to
certainly
do in
can get you connected.
retirement.
Our STEAM Summer Leadership Camp was a really great opportunity, too, that was packed with hands-on learning, creativity, and fun. This is something that Transformation Waco partnered with Goodwill to run this summer at their East Waco Community Connect facility. Coding with Dash robots, designing sets for a theater performance with Farcast Theater, STEM opportunities with Girl Scouts of Central Texas, and exciting science experiments, cooking there on the left, kids making some desserts, and then the middle photos there. There's the physical Dash robot, but there's also access to software to have a digital version of that, where you're putting him through or her through a series of maps that you can then put out in the physical world. And then on the right, there is a student who was using something called a chomp saw, and he was building a little set piece for a theater performance. And so it was a great opportunity to really hit those STEAM, hitting all of them. Also, students enjoyed swimming at the Doris Miller Community Pool. I'll add that. We've engaged higher education partners, including TSTC, MCC, and Baylor, as well as community groups such as AgriLife and 4-H to design content. We have advisory committees for youth, adults, and professionals launching to guide our alignment. Work study students are lined up to support staffing as well. And so this network of expertise will really help ensure that the STEAM Center provides top quality, relevant programming. And a major highlight is the Cisco Networking Academy. Glad to have Cisco here with us this afternoon. And they have provided us access to their global program that provides training in networking, cybersecurity, the Internet of Things, programming with industry-recognized certifications. So at the STEAM Center, we want to take these courses to serve as a foundation for students to pursue further study at places like TSTC or MCC, or directly enter the workforce. And Transformation Waco has already signed on to implement that curriculum, and we're excited to do so. Outreach is also one of the most important parts of this phase. We've taken STEAM activities to the Waco McLennan County Libraries and at community events, including Waco ISD's Family Fest and the Waco Police Department's Back to School Bash, as well as upcoming events such as tomorrow's Green Communities Conference with Keep Waco Beautiful, and the Texas Parent and Family Engagement Statewide Conference with the Texas Education Agency that's happening next month. We've also piloted after-school clubs at Estella Maxey and initiated outreach events in collaboration with Waco ISD and La Vega ISD. These efforts are about more than just visibility. They're about testing ideas, building trust, ensuring that when the STEAM Center opens, the community already feels a sense of ownership. On the left, there was a really fun opportunity at the Central Library in partnership with HEB, who was premiering a series of science and nature films. And so they gave us an opportunity to bring out those Dash robots and have them visit various state parks. The second photo, Provident Heights Elementary, our team has met with their leadership team, who is very interested not only in having our outreach team come and doing activities on campus, but they're holding there a makerspace activity where another part of the work of the STEAM Center we see is providing professional development, learning opportunities for schools and teachers to utilize makerspaces that they have on campus. We hear from a lot of teachers, my school has a makerspace, we're not entirely sure how to best use it, so we want to use the STEAM Center as an opportunity for learning to happen there, but also to have educators come to the space, learn about using a similar space and bringing that back into the classroom. And so that's one of the outreach opportunities there. And then, of course, having just awesome robots is always an attraction when folks are coming by. And so that's what we had. One of the things displayed at our Waco ISD and Waco PD Back to School Bash. Engineering challenges from the Naval Academy are also now being delivered directly in classrooms at schools like Tennyson, Crestview, and Parkdale. This is our menu of STEAM-based opportunities. These are free-based, free programmings that we're providing this fall. And really just trying to provide opportunities for Waco students to get this preview of what they could have at the STEAM Center. So these classroom visits will continue through the fall, keeping the STEAM Center present and visible while construction continues. On the operations side, along with working with Roberto and his team, we've been finalizing details that will make the center functional from day one. We've worked with facilities on furniture and IT on technology needs for the makerspace labs. We're developing calendars, membership structures, and providing feedback on many other aspects of center operations. A lot of these pieces are not as visible, but they are essential to the center running smoothly. I do want to close, though, with a quick thank you to Deputy City Manager Deidre Emerson, who really has been a true champion for this project, especially the work around programming, ensuring that we at Transformation Waco stay focused on ensuring that the center provides universal access to the Waco community. To summarize, Transformation Waco has been actively creating curriculum, developing partnerships, piloting programs, and has established visibility in the community through events and programs. We're excited to enter the next and final phase. I'm more than happy to answer questions along the way, but for now, I'm going to pass it on to Roberto for the construction update.
All right, thank you, Josh. So construction on this project is moving along well. More than a typical renovation, this adaptive reuse of the facility includes a complete interior reconfiguration, flood-proofing, exterior finishes, new building and technology systems, and specialized instructional environments to support STEAM programming. $13.8 million of funding has been allocated to the delivery of this facility project, for which the council authorized the award of a contract to Masonic Construction in December of 2024. So construction is currently underway and completion is on track for the end of this year, 2025. Structural and rough-in work are complete and interior finish work has begun, so we're really excited about that. As the contractor progresses through the wall finishes and prepares for mechanical system trim out, the center will rapidly begin to take its final form. The contractor and design teams continue to coordinate closely on upcoming phases of construction and the production requirements to keep the project on schedule. So exterior work is progressing steadily and observers will continue to see progress throughout the fall. The project is financially sound with 11.8 of the project's 13.8 million committed to date. The bulk furniture purchase was authorized in September, and the remaining funding is expected to be sufficient to complete the project. Construction contract change orders are at a 10.2% to date, which include the changes to incorporate large fixtures, furniture, equipment purchases, such as the emergent lab equipment and the center's furniture package into the contractor scope. Even with these changes, the change order percentage remains well below the state's allowed 25%. Programming funds as budgeted here are to provide for the efforts underway by Transformation Waco as part of the project's delivery. The project team has been highly proactive and responsive in identifying risk and mitigation opportunities throughout the project and its delivery. Unforeseen site conditions or necessary modifications are being addressed early and often to avoid future disruptions. The contractor continues to manage the schedule effectively, and we are coordinating with the adjacent playground project to ensure the program remains on target for December completion. So one of the most exciting parts of this project is the enhancement of the outdoor play area at the future STEAM Center. Our goal has been to create an inviting, attractive space that welcomes people to the center while also providing opportunities for outdoor recreation and education. So the playground has been designed with a space theme, as you can see there, highlighting unique features that spark imagination and connect to science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So we've also prioritized comfort with multiple shaded areas so families can enjoy the space even during the Texas summer heat. So on March 18, 2025, Council approved the $1.2 million to replace the existing play structure, which was more than 20 years old and showing severe signs of wear. So the new design introduces the complete space-themed play area with modern, innovative equipment. This playground doesn't just provide physical benefits, it also promotes cognitive growth and creates an inclusive environment for children of all abilities. There will be 2 distinct play zones, one for younger children and another designed for older kids up through junior high. The design also includes an engaging rubberized surface for accessibility, Easy mobility and safe play. This surface will replace the current mulch flooring that is there. Shade sails will keep the area cool, and a system of lights will illuminate the playground at night, turning it into a vibrant attraction visible from downtown and the riverside. Construction is already underway, and we've been coordinating closely with facilities and Masonic Construction. The parking lot next to the playground has been closed, and the project is expected by the end of 2025 to align with the grand opening of the STEAM Center. Some of the exciting features include an inclusive merry-go-round, sensory panels, and lunar rock climbing elements unlike anything that we've had before. There will also be large ropes, playscape with ADA transfer stations, as well as dish-shaped play feature that uses interactive technology to encourage movement. Together, these amenities will create a playground that is not only fun and educational, but also welcoming and accessible to the entire community. Our next steps are to finalize procurement of furniture and equipment, complete IT and AV scope and infrastructure coordination, and continue pre-launch activities with Transformation Waco. This fall, we enter phase 3, which is facility setup and pre-launch. That work will carry us through to opening. So in summary, to summarize this presentation, construction is on track, programming is expanding and being tested, and operational planning is underway. We remain on time and within budget with a targeted completion for the end of 2025 and programming launch in January of 2026. To close, I do want to thank you for your support, and we are glad to answer any questions. Thank you.
Council, before you start to provide us questions, one of the other things I want to make sure that I mention, and part of the reason why our Cisco friends are here with us today, is at the next council meeting, we expect to bring forth our donation agreements. And so they have provided us with a substantial donation for the STEAM Center. And so we'll bring those agreements forth in the next council meeting.
Great. Any comments or questions for staff on this one?
Nobody has questions?
I'll kick it off and let you wrap it up. Yeah, this is fantastic. I think we're all super excited about it. And I'm happy to see the focus on curriculum and ongoing activation, because a lot of these things we have dreams of building, and we need to make them come true with day-to-day activities. It looks like you guys have put a lot of positive effort in making sure that happens. I love the K to Gray deal. The early buzz on this thing is great. Great partners as you're developing this within the community. You got TSTC, MCC, Baylor, the Navy, 4-H, AgriLife, SpaceX. All these folks are helping make this happen. So it's super exciting. And I don't want this to get lost in. This is kind of an important part of our workforce training and keeping people in Waco and getting them excited about Waco to stay here and build lives and careers, which is, I think, at the heart of this. And so sparking that creativity, seeing the looks on those kids' faces is just heartwarming and makes me feel really great about this project. But great job, and look forward to this thing coming to fruition here in the next few months.
Thank you all for the
Just want to-
presentation. Oh, sorry, go
I want to
ahead.
thank
No,
Dr.
no, no.
McDurham, Transformation Waco, for a great job. And I know Lindsay Hilton has been very active with the campus principals and offering her services. So thank you for that.
I want to just raise as much buzz about the center as possible pre-launch.
You know, we're inside baseball. The benefit of, I mean, to the community that you sit here, Councilmember Lozano, but the fact that you do lead a school speaks volumes to the importance of aligning our education curriculum with that of our districts, Waco and the surrounding districts. So we appreciate your voice in this. I am gonna be real good about not going ham right now, because y'all know how excited I am about all of this. Deputy City Manager Emerson, you said the Cisco people were here?
Yes, they are here.
Can you wave? I need to see who you are. Hello? Hey, thank you. It is so important for us to develop these partnerships. As she was going through, and Josh and Roberto were going through the names of the partners that we have aligned this project with, it is nothing short of amazing, right? The fact I don't know how many years ago, we were at St. Philip's College and went into their cybersecurity department, and we were talking about, they started talking about Cisco, and I was like, Deidre, and she was like, yep. And so we are so glad that you all are walking this journey with us, and that is but one of the voices that have started walking this. So we appreciate everything that you've done to date and will do, and we welcome you to participate in any way you see fit. The Discovery alignment is huge. We started working with them during the eclipse, and we appreciate the fact that they have fallen in love with Waco like everybody else have, and decided to keep the momentum of their work in this community together. With the U.S. Naval Academy, I would be remiss to not utter the name of former Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson and Wade Cohen for kind of opening those doors into getting into the Naval Academy, and all the people who have come and just seen that happen, from our friends in DC to our local connections, to make all of those things come together. As Mayor mentioned, the Texas AgriLife and AARP, all of those are important because it allows us to walk this Deputy City Manager Emerson coined phrase, K to Gray. We want to talk about all of the intricacies of what's going into the STEAM Center, but that's expounded past that because, right now I was at the Bridge Street Plaza this weekend, and I was like, what is this? It's covered up. They're working on the fiber to fuel, I guess, the Wi-Fi and everything necessary for the STEAM Center. So all of that's happening right now. The fact that the playground is inclusive, I know that it has been the desire of our city to make all of our, enhance as many of our parks as possible, and especially with the dedicated inclusive activities that'll be in Alice Rodriguez Park, that this is important for us to have. If we're building a new one, that it includes things that make it inclusive for all of our residents. My gosh, so I'm gonna hush, but my one question is I saw that you have the advisory committee. How does one join the advisory committee? Because someone asked me that, and I did not have the answer to it.
Yeah, they can reach out to us at Transformation Waco, our project director, Lindsay Helton. I could share the contact. So we started it with phase one of the partnership meetings, had over 70 meetings with different organizations to create the three ones. And the advisories, I should say, are built around the four pillars that are the educational vision for the STEAM Center. Pillar 1 being pre-K through 12 academic enrichment. Pillar 2, workforce development, college career readiness. Pillar 3, lifelong learning, and community cultural connection, Pillar 4. So we're gonna have a fourth advisory committee with the Youth Council when they start in the next few weeks. So we're excited for that. That's cool. But it's certainly open
All right.
for advisory.
So if you're
committee members.
interested, you have to reach out to Transformation Waco team for the advisory committee. And I see Dr. McDermott in the audience, so we appreciate you for everything that you've done. And y'all, if I'm a proud mama, it's a whole vibe for me. And I want to certainly mention and thank each of you for the work that you've done. Deputy City Manager Emerson, you've walked this through me, as you said, through all of those things, the mayors, the managers, the this, the that, the teams. And so I appreciate your dedication in executing this vision, because it would not be but for you and the team. So we appreciate you.
I'll just add briefly to that this is obviously inspiring, and I echo all the comments that were made by the council up here. My father is a Naval Academy grad, so it's very special to be able to launch this programming in partnership with them here in landlocked Central Texas, be able to get their interest in developing the STEAM Center. So thanks for all your good work and managing these public and private partnerships, and I think we're off to a great start. I'm looking forward to this thing being operational. So thank you all.
If I may just close, since you mentioned Landlock, the location of it, we definitely want to take advantage of the location directly on the Brazos. So some of that programming, we're thinking about how can we integrate the use of waterways, whether that's testing or having little drone submarines going in there. So that will be part of programming too.
I'll just say briefly that, to have a vision this big come to fruition takes a lot of hard work, a lot of diligence, and a lot of, because I can't think of a better word, just luck in the timing of how things come together, from where we were able to pull funds from to get it all together, from getting the right people in the right places to execute that maybe otherwise would not have been where they're at, and having everything fall in line for Transformation Waco to step in and kind of facilitate the curriculum on this. It really is a perfect confluence of events that led to this happening and happening on time and on budget, like another thing that is not always done, especially when you are doing work with the government. So I really appreciate all the hard work that's gone into getting us to this point, taking advantage and capitalizing on those moments that seem like luck when we have a good opportunity in front of us to get us to this finish line. It's really awesome, and I cannot wait to see it all done and toured and cut the ribbon and get in there, and it's gonna be here before we know it. You're gonna blink and December is gonna be here. So
Exciting stuff. Thanks again for the presentation. Appreciate you. Thanks, Deputy City Manager Emerson and Director Zapata and Josh. Thanks. The next item, the work session item B6, that we've all been waiting for, the discussion of the interlocal agreement with TSTC and the development of a zookeeper assistive device. City Manager Ford.
Yeah, it's a good one. This next update, certainly excited to hear about the new technology development project between the zoo and TSDC. And we're obviously very proud to have TSDC's home base here in Waco. And I see Beth Wooten out in the audience. Want to say a thanks to Beth and all her support of Waco. This is not the first time the city and TSDC have partnered up.
Nope.
Y'all remember about a year ago, TSDC students and staff helped us design our first ADU units for tiny homes here in Waco. And so excited for y'all to hear a little bit about this zookeeper assisted device. And frankly, excited for the council and public to hear from our veterinarian out at Cameron Park Zoo. Dr. K, as he's known, is an outstanding veterinarian and is standing in here today for director that's out at a zookeeper conference. But Dr. K is one of our kind of behind the scenes all-stars. A couple stories about him. He served us for a really long time. He cares for an amazing collection of creatures. You got to think about it. Things as small as, this to multiple ton animals out at the zoo. And he does it with such excellence. In fact, he's presented at conferences around the world. His work is referenced around the world, and we owe him a great debt of gratitude for all the work he does and the care and excellence that he provides out at the Cameron Park Zoo. So, Dr. K, thanks for standing in on this one, and I look forward to the presentation.
Thank you for the kind words and the introduction. So, as Bradley mentioned, I'm doing this for Brendan Wiley, who's not here, but gave me some talking points. This is really his child. He came up with the idea, approached TSTC, and it's gone on from there. So the goal of this project is really not to replace zookeepers. So there's still a lot of what zookeepers do isn't necessarily the maintenance of the exhibit. They do a lot of work with the animals. They do training. They do things to enrich their well-being. So that portion of their day where they're taking care of the exhibits and moving around animal waste is actually just really a small part of it. So I think Brendan had the idea of, how do we get them more time? How do we reduce exhibit downtime? The animals are out more. How do we kind of go from there? And this job has been pretty much the same, I think, as long as people have been taking care of animals. The tools are really simple, shovels, rakes. And it can be pretty laborious work as well. But nobody's really done anything to change anything.
We'll try to refrain from jokes as much as possible during this presentation.
And I don't know that we're really sure why nobody's really come up with kind of this idea of, you know, technology or introducing it to this aspect of it. Our guess is that simply there's just not really enough potential financial gain from it. It's still pretty niche as far as what it would do. So I think that's probably a part of it.
Quite the quality of life improvement, though.
I mean.
Right. And then I think this is, at least for Brendan, was partially inspired. I think everyone knows about the black vultures at the zoo. And we've had animals, we do have some animals that interact with the vultures, but a lot of them have learned to just kind of ignore them. So it's, I think in his mind, it's what can these animals, you know, what can our animals get used to and not be bothered by? And I think for us, at least in the industry, a major focus for the past 2 decades has really been keeper safety. So how do we work and maintain these areas without necessarily being in danger? So, you know, that means moving animals off exhibit when we clean or do maintenance. So there's also other, you know, obviously we have our facility, but there are other facilities, things like Fossil Rim in Glenrose, where it's more of a safari park. And they go in, obviously animals are free roaming, so they go in with these animals and maintain the exhibit. So they also have devices as well there. Sorry. Okay. And then there's a slide that didn't make it in. We had, Brendan had come up with an AI video basically showing a robot entering the exhibit with an elephant present, and then taking care of the animal waste. But, you know, from our standpoint, you know, this isn't something that we're used to. So, you know, we're zoo professionals. We're not really great at creating productive robots. That's just not really in our wheelhouse. So it started with a conversation, or more specifically, it started with an email. So Brendan started talking with TSTC, and then I think in the midsummer, there was a conversation at the zoo with zoo staff, TSTC, and some TSTC students. Sounded like everybody was really excited about this, really optimistic, just really high spirits to try and do something creative and potentially, you know, life-changing for at least some of our keepers. But I think the thing is, if this is successful, what we're really talking about is, as I mentioned earlier, getting more time to the keeper staff, allowing them to do more training, enrichment, really contribute in a positive way to our animals' welfare. There's also some opportunities. So one of the things that we could potentially do is collect scientific data. So some of the things like temperature of the animal or of the animal waste, collecting samples for me to run tests on and diagnostics. So it really opens the door for a lot of different things. As far as timeline and cost, so this is going to be a 3-semester project, 18 months. It's $45,000 to $55,000 investment. The initial $45,000 funding has been generated through the zoo budget savings associated with water and sewer fees. And then a resolution on today's agenda seeks your approval for the expenditure of these funds. And then And here we have a prototype. So this is Frank, version 1. I think you guys, if you're wondering, Frank is an acronym, and it was come up with by the TSTC students working on it, and it stands for Fecal Remover and Nastiness Killer. But this device, it actually includes all of the sensors and technology that would be needed for this work. Main thing is just scaling it up. Just increasing the size and making it sure it's capable of doing the workload.
I'm curious, when you think about like musicians, it's like what comes first, the music or the lyrics? Do you get the melody first? Do you get the hook? Did you think of Frank first and then fill in the words, or?
I'll be honest, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, one of our students actually came up with that, and the challenge for him was to use an acronym that was user and family friendly.
Yeah, top to bottom, I get how that could be tough.
Good,
Yeah.
good parameters right
Yep,
there.
yep. Good principle. So is the idea with the kind of the prototypes to say, like, put them in with the javelinas or smaller kind of animals and then work up, or what's the?
I think we still need to come up with a plan for introduction. Obviously, we wanted, part of the implementation of the strategy. I think with Frank, they were just seeing if we could make it and what it would require, and then scaling it up. Really what we need to work on is desensitizing the animals to it, or come out how we would, it may be that they're not necessarily on exhibit with the robots. So I think there's a lot of questions we still need to figure out. But I think probably there's not a whole lot of equipment that's elephant-proof. So I think we would probably start small or reintroduce that in a way that we're not necessarily going to lose what we've created immediately.
Yeah, just to add to that a little bit. So our thinking is to do this autonomously in the evening when the elephant is asleep. That way it's not in contact with it directly. But introduce it at some point to where it can interact without giving it a heart attack or something. That would be terrible. But so we want to start small. We're starting out with students who are learning new things. It's a $10 problem when I break one of those motors. I don't want to break a $10,000 motor.
Yeah.
So I want them to learn on scaled down versions, and then when we get this down to a good science, then we'll scale it up and introduce it.
Nice.
That's great. For me, the biggest win here is just continuing to expand our partnership with TSTC and utilizing the resources that we have here in town for that, right? We've done that with the pre-made plans with ADUs. Obviously, the work side is a huge thing that we benefit from there as well. But we have so much talent here locally housed at TSTC that's doing really amazing things. And so the more that we can tap into that for any number of issues or opportunities we run into as a city, I think that we're both better for it. So I really appreciate the creative thinking on this to come up with a solution.
And I can't help but think how, when this is successful, what type of modeling can be done around the world. And, it'll be created right here in Waco, Texas, and something that post-January, the from K to grade folks that are looking in the STEAM Center will be able to say, hey, look, these students came up with a solution to a problem we didn't know we had, and that continues and it builds and so this is great.
Any other comments? Yeah, this is pretty cool stuff. New tech. I mean, it's being created right here in Waco, so it's exciting. Appreciate the presentation. Thank you. City Manager Ford, where do you want to go next? It looks like we have one more item, or what should we do?
We'd planned for Clint Peters to provide an update on public hearing items, but I know we've got a pretty stacked executive session, so I'd love y'all to take a break and we'll go into exec.
Okay.
We'll hear from Clint during the regular business session.
Got it. Okay, then the next item is going to be scheduling future agenda items. Are there any requests from council for future agenda items? I don't see any there, so at this point, we will now recess the work session and reconvene the regular session for executive session as read into the record by Assistant City Secretary at 5:03 p.m.
Notice is hereby given that the City Council will go into executive session in accordance with the following provisions. 1, Real Properties, Texas Open Meetings Act, Section 551.072. 2, Economic Development, Texas Open Meetings Act, Section 551.087. 3, Attorney Briefing, Texas Open Meetings Act, Section 551.071. Discussion of State of Texas settlement with various pharmaceutical manufacturers regarding global opioid settlements. 4, Attorney Briefing, Texas Open Meetings Act, Section 551.071, and Personnel, Texas Open Meetings Act, Section 551.074, discussion of city manager appointment process and possible motion to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with the recruitment firm to assist in such process. 5, Personnel, Texas Open Meetings Act, Section 551.074, nomination and appointment of individuals to the McLennan Central Appraisal District Board of Directors. And 6, Personnel, Texas Open Meetings Act, Section 551.074, City Attorney Kristen Hamilton Karam. We are now in executive session.